Hi there, and welcome to the Curious Collective podcast, conversations designed for the conscious community to bring awareness to those holistic practices that are out there. So tap into the wisdom and knowledge of our guests to heal, transform, and live as your true soulful self. Hi there, listeners. Today with us, we have the beautiful Niome and Amy from Divine Crystal Heart. Now, I met these two gorgeous ladies at the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival this year. They were two stalls up from us, and I kept just popping up at their stall and just being around them because their energy was really magnetizing. And what I really loved about them was their relationship with their crystals. Now, they knew everything about every crystal and also could tell a little story. And before I hand over to let them introduce, I will just tell you there was this one particular crystal that was on the table. And I was like, whoa, what is this? And they said, oh, we didn't even know if we wanted to bring that guy along because we don't even know if we want to sell him. Like, and I kept popping back to see if it had gone, and someone did buy it, and they were both so depressed because they're like, oh, we didn't even want him to buy it. We didn't even want him to go. So handing over to you beautiful ladies. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
I'm Amy Divine.
And I'm Niome Divine.
And yes, thank you so much for having here. And yes, I really do remember that moment. And I know exactly what crystal you're talking about. And my heart is still a little bit soft over that part.
We haven't been able to find another one like it, actually, too.
Well, hopefully the home that it's gone to has now, that crystal might have brought some love into there for it.
Oh,
I think definitely it would have.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, really.
So tell us, what is it that you do within your business, and what is it that makes your heart sing about what you do?
You go first.
Well, what makes our heart sing? Well, in particular, I think we both just resonate so much with the crystal family. That's sort of how we think of our crystals. They're little members of the family, and I guess the higher perspective for both of us at crystals is that they're here to be in service, as so many of us are here to be in service. At this point in time in our journeys here on planet Earth, and crystals have been here, since time immemorial, and they store a lot of knowledge and have a lot of information, and it's their mission as well to just sort of be in service to everybody that needs them. And I think that's why there's such a massive crystal craze happening at the moment, is that even though people aren't consciously recognizing just how much a crystal is here to be in service, that's why they are here and why there's so many, and so many new ones popping up all the time as well. They're just waiting to be discovered and just waiting to be released from the ground and to come into people's lives and homes. And really,
what a beautiful way to talk about them.
I think the way I look at it as well is that they're like a gateway. They're a gateway to knowing so much more about yourself. So a lot of people, like we've found, like doing markets and MBS and things like that, is some people they're just drawn to it from the color, or it might be the energy, but they're not really understanding that completely as of yet. But there's a reason why, and there's always a higher reason to as to why people are drawn to a certain crystal, a certain color, and what that is just a key that unlocks a little bit more about yourself. And that's what we like to talk about, is bringing awareness to more aspects, inner aspects of oneself that they may not necessarily understand, or it's not a knowing as of yet. So when we do our, that's part of our, it just comes when we speak to people at markets. And also that's what our live sales are. They're not just sales for us, although it does help us live, the financial aspect. But what we do is, we talk about our own experiences through crystals, what we have found. When you open up, you talk about your life and, maybe your healing journey and so forth. It brings people into their own, I guess, a deeper understanding that it's okay. It's okay to feel these feelings, that there's others out there. And they really are just a key to just opening up people more to themselves. But also, like Naomi said, the energy of crystals and what they can do. We know people that are just on their journey, but they're buying all these crystals, not even understanding why. but that's to come. You know, it's always to come. And we, you know, we do such long descriptions on our crystals on our website. There's always more, isn't there?
Yeah, there's always more.
We send out description cards, just as little activations for someone, that just dropping that little seed.
I love how you've talked into it being an activation, because it certainly is. And that information that you've provided someone with that stone they perhaps chose because it was pretty or it spoke to them or whatever, and they've now brought that home, that can sort of open them up to be more reflective or have more awarenesses with things that's coming up in their lives. So yeah, such a beautiful gift.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. You know, we're branching out into like malas as well, wearable ones, meditation malas, people that may not have even meditated or understood what that meant to even get to a deeper process. We're bringing out those sort of activated jewelry, I guess.
And I love malas, but for the listeners that aren't too sure on what they are, could you tell us?
Yeah, I might actually have one.
I've got one here, so you could tell us.
Yeah, so I've got one like that, but I also do meditation malas that you wrap around.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, so what I do is, well, it just whatever I'm drawn to. So I just go with my intuition, and I choose a specific crystal, I choose an ending to it. It's usually a key, and the key represents, you know, I guess when you think what does a key do? It unlocks a door. It can unlock many doors, and that's what that key represents at one end. So it's like a bit of a story, and I just intuitively make them up, and that energy being put into that specific crystal as well, whether it's abundance or whether it's self-love. And I usually finish it off with, it's just a journey all the way along, just so people understand it. And it's when we talk about meditations too,
yes,
you know, and you know what you can get out of them. You know, it's such a gift being in that moment of stillness where the mind just switches off. And so it's not necessarily, well, it is about the meditation mala and what I'm creating, but it's also understanding that, you know, it's such a busy life. We have such a busy life, ticking all these boxes in that masculine energy, that people don't even realize that to sit in that amount of that stillness when there's nothing going on, nothing matters, you know, nothing is everything. They don't understand that, and that's what we're trying to convey as well.
Yeah, I love that.
You know, you can have those, you can focus on, you know, problems or issues in your life in such a better way when you are calm and relaxed.
It gives you more clarity, doesn't it?
Grounded.
Yes.
Oh, that's the key word there, grounded. And the crystals having come from the ground are part of that, aren't they?
That's right.
And so many of them have that quality about them as well that can really help facilitate the grounding, which we all need.
Yeah, we
I think
do
in order
all
to be
need.
present and be in the now moment all the time, you have to be grounded. And to be grounded into your body. And I guess this is part of what the whole journey is about. The whole journey of ascension is about embodiment, and it's about embodying all aspects of self. And I think, yes, they're just little tools to help facilitate that.
Such
and
beautiful tools as well.
Yeah, I guess too, for people that are sort of beginning on this journey or just awakening and everything like that, it's very supportive. And so I think that's why, you know, there's a lot of the crystals going to homes now. It's to sort of really help and to just facilitate all of those things, and in particular the grounding, which is just, as I said, such a big part of what we're all doing right now.
Yeah, and sometimes those that, you know, find the spiritual world and then they start to get all like flighty, like, oh, you know, you're all up in the clouds. It's like, no, you like were put in this earth experience to be on this ground and in your body. So, you know, do a bit of that as well. That's where your clarity and guidance will come in.
Yeah, you can make more informed choices, and you know, your life can change when you've got more of a grounded approach.
So if someone was to come up and connect with you both to say, like, I'm really wanting to try crystals for my healing, where should I start? You know, do you suggest that, or do you encourage them to go to what they're drawn to?
Always what they're drawn to, first and foremost. Sometimes, you know, people are looking for a particular issue to have help and support for a particular issue, and we'll sort of direct them to crystals that may be the most benefit.
Mhm.
And we'll sort of intuitively feel into that too when people
Mhm.
ask what would be the best one for them in particular.
Yeah,
But
and based
I
on
think
like the
we'll
metaphysical
find,
properties.
yeah, most people actually just are intuitively drawn to crystals that they need.
Mm.
They
Not
really
even
are.
knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the biggest key too, isn't
Yeah.
it? You know, a lot. I say a lot, and I can't put a percentage of it on how many people, but I'm sure you have faced this in your life. I know we have, where we haven't gone with that gut feeling, that intuition. You know, your inner knowing, and that's a part of what we also provide too. Is just trust your. You know, the more you say to people,
Yeah.
the more it resonates with people, and the more they embrace it, to really go with your intuition, not just in crystals, but in life in general.
Yeah.
You know, when you're picking up on something, or you feel something from somewhere, or with someone, you know, pick it up. When you have that little thought that comes in, and it keeps coming in, you block it out. You know, it's block it out because you don't want it, perhaps.
Yeah.
In the end, it's your inner knowing when we have that, and we're here to remind people, you know, of we're divine beings of light. You know, we have all the answers.
We do. And the more you practice that beautiful skill of intuition and following that little voice that you're trying to say, oh, bugger off, the stronger it gets. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It's like a I say this a lot. It's a pebble, then it's a rock, and then it's a boulder.
Yeah.
And it'll keep on coming, and it'll keep getting bigger, and until you listen, because you know we all have a divine path. It's simple as that. We have a divine path, and when it's easy and flowing, that's your path.
And it feels so good.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
So
that's right.
for those watching the video, and if you're listening on Spotify, jump across to YouTube and check it out. But behind the ladies are the most divine crystals. So tell us, you haven't always had a house full of thousands of crystals. How did you start this journey to be where you are today?
Well, I sort of had a few crystals, you know, before Amy and I met. We met about 3, coming up to 4 years ago. I had, you know, a few crystals sort of scattered around my house, but I'd never really paid too much attention, you know, to them at all. But when we met, we sort of activated each other into this, you know, awakening, like a much deeper awakening. And I guess that the first part of that, or sort of intertwined with everything else, was crystals and how they can help us on our journey. That's how we started. How can we use the crystals to sort of facilitate bringing out things that we were trying to bring out, you know, because when we first met, it was all about the releasing of the trauma of our lives. And so that was, and I think we just intuitively fell into that sort of a cycle. It took us, you know, a while, a good 18 months to move through our lives and just clear and clear and clear and clear. And not just from this life, but from, you know, and the ancestral line as well.
Yeah.
The crystals became a tool for us as well. And I guess when we're talking about people being intuitively drawn to crystals, that's how we started too. We, you know, go crystal shopping and be drawn to a crystal, and then sort of be on Google reading about what does this crystal do, and be like, oh my God, this is exactly what I need. Yay.
Fancy that.
Yeah.
It just was always giving us these gorgeous little surprises and things like that.
Confirmations.
Feelings of joy of, oh, I chose the right crystal without, you know, knowing anything about it. I was just drawn to that crystal. I've forgotten where I was going with this now.
You want me?
Yes, go, jump in.
Yeah, so in saying that, you know, I liked rocks, I like crystals. I had a few when Niome and I met. My mother has, she's collected rocks throughout her lifetime, just random rocks. My dad, you know, he had a small little opal mine. He loves collecting rocks too. They weren't very significant in my life, although I did have a few, nothing major. But yeah, when Niome and I met, I was on a deep spiritual path at that point in my life, and going through that sort of solidarity as we all sort of come, you know, move into at those specific times. And yes, when we did meet, all of a sudden we started going to a couple of crystal festivals and, you know, getting a couple of things, and, you know, we just did it here, there and everywhere. But literally when we did meet, we activated each other.
That's awesome.
And, you know, we had some pretty out there multidimensional experiences that might blow a few people away, and some other people, you know, may resonate with that. And within those experiences and those visions, there were crystals, specifically with Niome, with crystals, but I also had them as well. You know, but we were more focused on ourselves together, but also separately on this journey, which, it was about 18 months. And then, you know, COVID sort of hit, you know, we had full-time jobs, and our business closed. The business we both worked for, closed down. And it was just like a symphony, really. And I love this story because, you know, it's such a beautiful story, because our businesses closed down. Our houses both sold within the same week.
Oh, wow. Huge.
Closed down. The borders got closed. We went into lockdown and our houses sold. So all of a sudden we're financially supported. Our space is completely cleared. Stuck at home, which is good. We don't have any distractions. And so we just started having these little things just kept popping in, you know. We started meeting people, and who happen to be our wholesalers now, one of them anyway. And these little things just kept popping up, didn't they? And we were we're in that state of, we had no worries, we had no stress. We are doing what we want to do. We're having a bit of time off from that big wind down of, you know, working so hard that you just
go, the do.
I didn't realize how long it actually took me to actually come to a point of presence. Yeah, so we just allowed it, and we just just lived our life, and then it just started coming in, and we decided to take a 3 weeks trip away. So we went away on a little driving holiday, and we just went wherever we went. Then we got back, and it was unbelievable. We literally got back into our apartment, and it was like a download of information.
And drive and motivation. Everything just fell into place. We decided, okay, this is what we were going to do, because it had been sort of in the pipelines, you know, for a little bit. We'll get into, you know, business somehow revolving around crystals. And then, when we got back, it just all slotted into place. And within 2 weeks, we were up and running. We had everything done. We had business cards. We had a website. We had a Facebook page. We had a logo.
Perfect.
We had a name.
We secured a position in a market that was the last position.
Yeah.
Synchronicities.
The Carrara Mother's Day Psychic Fair market, which is an awesome market, and it was a great way for us to start. And that was our first sort of big hello.
Here we are.
Hello. And we were nervous and excited all at the same time. We had no idea what was going to happen. And after the weekend was over, we were like, that was so good. That was amazing. And it just all has been a flow from there.
Yeah, it's just all fallen into place. But before we went away for 3 weeks, you know, I'm typing all these things up on my laptop and writing it down. We're having these conversations because our mind was going, this is how it needs to be done. This is how it needs. And it just wasn't working. So we were going this way. No, we sort of had a vision, but it just wasn't coming in easy. And that's what we thought. No, we need to have some time away. And literally we had everything done within 2 weeks. And it just keeps on coming. We can't keep up with it.
The evolution of Divine Crystal Heart. I love it.
But I guess it really evolved once we let go of the control. So we stopped controlling that. We stopped, you know, using the ego mind to sort of control what we thought and what we expected. We sort of tried to put all of that aside and just actually surrender and surrender all the expectations as well, and just let it organically flow. And it worked so well that is how we sort of continued to do everything. And so sometimes we'll sit and we'll have, you know, little chats about where we want to be and where we want to go, but we don't put too many limitations or expectations on ourselves. We just go, this is where we want to be, like at some point. And so and then once we put it out there, it's almost like, well, you know, because we are master manifestors as well, that things will just happen to then bring that into alignment.
I love that
without
so
us
much.
Controlling.
And that's that.
People, we'll come across someone new or a new product or something like that, and we'll just be like, yes. This is what we were looking for.
So perfect. And I think you really spoke into one of the key elements there, is that actually having the vision and knowing of where it is you want to go and the now, and surrendering to the rest. It's like that bridge is the exciting part. That bridge is the evolution. That bridge is what is just going to be the best journey ever in ease and flow. So maybe that's what attracted me to the two of you, because I'm like, you don't actually need to know all the shit, do you?
Oh, no. Definitely, we
No.
don't, and there's a lot of crystal companies out there that see the value in selling them.
Yeah.
But we see the value within the crystals.
Yeah.
And it's a passion, and it drives us and it also drives us because, you know, we embrace who we are and why we're here at this amazing point in time.
Yeah.
And you know, our words, spoken and written, are activations for people. We embrace that, and we understand that, and we live our lives seed dropping here, there, and everywhere. You know, wherever we can, and whoever's
Fellow
open to
seed droppers,
receiving.
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's such an amazing, it's just an amazing time to be, you know, alive right now.
It really is. And I feel
Yeah.
that in my whole body. And thank you for bringing that up, because I have loved the last 2 years, much like yourselves, because I feel like all the grid lines are connecting, and all the people that are meant to be in each other's lives are like pop, 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 pop. If you're creating the spaciousness and letting go of those that no longer are aligned, all these amazing new connections are coming in, and it feels so good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. And, you know, and through this last couple of years, look how many people have gone through so many different emotions, whether it's lost a job or something else, or they had to stay at home with their family who they may not even be connecting with all the other times, because they're only here for snippets. So it's maybe fantastic and enjoyable, but when they're sort of locked in their home for long extended periods of time, you know, maybe all what they thought is not what it really is. So people are going through all these emotions, relationships are breaking down, people are losing their jobs, and they're finding themselves all in these last couple of years, complete and utter breakdown. And I think, you know, anything that people believed in throughout their life, I think has been highlighted and spotlighted for them to maybe question.
Yeah. And
And
get curious.
I think that's the other reason for the crystals as well, because I think there's a lot of release that's been happening. A lot of energy has been coming in, and through that release, they're feeling a bit lighter, and then a little bit more connected to energy, and you know, and that's crystals, right?
Yeah. I love that. And I feel like that's too. People are feeling that connection, but sometimes that they're overthinking it and going, well, who do I need to see? Who do I need to talk to? What do I need to buy? It's like, stop, be still, ground yourself. You already know the answers.
Yeah, that's right.
Get a crystal or two to help with the grounding and the clarity and the focus, but you've actually got all the answers right here.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
right.
powerful. And do you both have a favorite crystal?
Oh, they come in waves. This week it'll be this one, and this week it'll be the other one. I don't know. I'm very partial to ammonites. I love ammonites. I love fossils. But I also I love specimens as well. I love giant big clusters. I love petrified wood.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
And I think for myself, I'm a specimen girl,
Yeah.
through and through. I absolutely love them, and I think when they're in their rawest form, they have the most heightened energy to be able to receive. But I've got a really liking to the skulls as well at the moment. I just and there's just so much more, and that's the other thing. People are drawn to skulls maybe because they look pretty, but there's also a deeper meaning to that as well.
I'm eyeing off that red jasper one up there behind you.
Oh, so are we. Don't worry.
Can't preach it either.
But I think my most favourite one, and I'll say this because someone might resonate with it, is Mystic Melanite.
Ooh.
You know, through this sort of deep journey, when Niome first came together, it was really, really drawn to it. I couldn't escape it. I bought one. It was with me for such a long extended period of time, and it really is a crystal for shadow work. It's that, and it represents that light and dark aspect that we all have, and it represents it in a physical form in this crystal too. And it's very supportive. It's very, it will highlight and bring things up to the surface, but it'll do it in a way that is, that you're able to embrace it.
Digestible.
Yeah, it's a very addictive crystal, and it's one that really resonates with me through a very interesting releasing period and healing period of my life. So I really like to talk about mystic melanite because it is a key, I think, for a lot of people, even if starting out on their crystal journey.
We might have to put the link to.
Confronting.
Sorry.
Yeah. It can be a little bit confronting. You've got to be ready for sort of what comes up. It really helps, like just bring up to the surface, and in many ways too, like a lot of dream time as well. And I found that with many crystals, and it's actually a really good way to attune to a crystal that you have is to just sleep with it.
Oh, cool.
Pillow, hold them in. Sometimes, you know, I'll hold one in my hand and I'll wake up and it'll still be in my hand when I've woken
that's
up.
Awesome.
And yeah, this is the best way for people to just attune to a crystal, to work with the crystal's energies, is just sleep with it.
Yeah,
That's
awesome.
the simplest way.
I love that. That's a really great tip.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people ask, like, how do I work with them? What do I do? And I know there's a myriad of ways that you can do that. But another common question that I get asked, and I don't really know, so I send people sort of towards you guys, is how often are we meant to cleanse them? And is this something that you do regularly or just when you feel like you need to?
Well, it varies for crystal, for each crystal. And it depends on how much work you're doing too. And as I said, and the crystal as well. So say shungite, for example, that is a crystal that can absorb so much from the water, from the environment. It needs regular cleansing. And so you can just actually wash shungite, just wash it under the water. You can wash a lot of crystals. That's a good way to sort of clean them. Anything that's happy to go under the water, all the agates and things like that, that are a bit more sealed on the outside, you can just run them underwater and that will actually clean them. For ones that don't go under the water, you can use sage, you can use incense,
sunlight,
the smoky things, and sunlight will charge them up. So after you clean them, then stick them out in the sun. We're avid believers in the sun charging. So rather than using the moon, we just use the sun for charging them up.
And if they're ones the sun to charge me up.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it charges.
That's
up
what we
up
do.
too.
You know,
it charges the crystals up as well.
That's why we're more aligned to the sun, because you know how you feel when you're in the sunlight. You feel amazing. The warmth, and you feel good. And you know, if you're just standing out there and it's a beautiful hot day, you know, you can just feel it touching your skin and piercing your skin. And you know, you don't sort of get that at night. A lot of people, you know, put their crystals out at night for the full moons and things like that, but we're not aligned to that, and that's okay. We're all drawn to different ways.
Yeah.
But we're more aligned to the sunlight.
Yeah, for the charging.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cleaning. So I guess the key thing to remember would be that the more you use it for something, then probably the more, you know, it needs a bit more of a clean. But there's some crystals that are self-cleaning, like citrine, kyanite, selenite. But even then, you still should put them out in the sun for a bit of a charge up. And then you can use some of those crystals, blue kyanite, selenite, and even amethyst, to clean other crystals as well. So you can just sit them on top.
Yeah, beautiful.
And carnelian.
Yeah. Or you can use a singing bowl.
I love carnelian.
Oh, so do we. Yeah.
Singing bowls.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, wow. Like put it in the center and play?
No, you can actually just do it over them.
Oh, wow.
With your own intention. But that's the other thing. We come back to the intention again. And it's really, truly whatever feels right for the individual.
Yeah.
What I do is I clear and cleanse and activate our home and our crystals. I do it almost daily. I do it before we have a live, and then before we send out the next day. I clear and activate all the crystals. I clear them all the way back to the mine from when they were first sourced. I clear all the shipping and the handling, and I clear it back to 100% pure source light vibration for their highest path, the highest path and the highest journey with much ease and grace as that's needed. I do it with sage. I am very drawn to sage. Little shamanic past life.
Love it.
I just love sage. But what I do is I drop into my heart. I really control my breathing, and then I just slip into a zone, and I just run it over the crystals, just the smoke, just over the crystals. and I have these thoughts in my, all these intentions that I want to put into them. And I can literally feel it in my hands, the energy from the crystals and them coming out, and they're feeling much happier. I can feel it. Most of the time, it's actually okay. It's me more so putting into the crystals for their little journey onto their next owners, basically. But that is the best way to do it, I think. With sage,
especially when you've got a lot. That's the easiest way.
Yeah, and it's a physical
and you
thing
do.
too. It's a ceremony. It's a physical thing, and some people need physical things to be able to see it, to smell it,
Yes.
and then they know that it's happening. Whereas if you just put it on some selenite and walk away, the ceremony is not happening because the intention may not be happening there.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean?
They just want to be loved up.
Yeah, it's a ceremonial practice.
It is. Well, you can clean them with your own field
as well.
Yeah.
And I do that actually at MBS and markets,
Yeah.
I put my hands around and I just run around whenever I feel like it needs to happen.
Yeah.
And I can feel it all the way along, until it gets to a spot.
And you'd need to do that in that environment because there's so much energy in those massive rooms with all the different modalities all squashed in there together.
Oh, and people picking them up too, and consciously and unconsciously, their energy is connecting with our crystals as well.
Yeah.
So that's something that we do as well. We, like I said, we clear them, several times a day at markets.
Yeah, but you can really see some like amazing things at the markets too. So
it'd be fascinating.
There'll be one crystal that got someone came along and picked it up and gave it like a lot of love. And then someone else did. And then you'll notice that from then on, that particular crystal, everyone goes to it. They're like looking at it. It's like it's had so much love today. Like that is why everyone, they can't help it. They just, even if it's nothing they want, they just like drawn and they just hone in on that crystal. It's like,
that's so cool.
It's just emitting this field of, here I am.
Yeah. Everyone loves me. So questions popped into my mind. Have you ever had a naughty crystal in the house? One that you've been like, oh, you again?
We did get we got a new type of jasper that no one had seen before that came from Madagascar.
Yes. Yeah.
It didn't have a name. We gave it a name. We called it abstract jasper. And it had a very like bizarre energy to it that we could feel, it could have been manipulated before, not really sure. We put them all outside like for days, and they were just getting the morning sun. And so sort of reintroducing them to the daylight and to the sunlight, and to just sort of then see how they felt in. And only sort of certain people were attracted to them, even some of our friends, that they were very intriguing crystal, had a very intriguing energy. So we spent a bit of time with them, just sort of clearing out any energy from them that perhaps shouldn't have been there, obviously, before we let anyone purchase them. But we did have them for a while before we even really showed them to anyone. So that was an interesting experience, because I guess crystals can be manipulated too by unwanted energies as well. So that's why it's really important to sort of clear and charge and activate any crystal. Even after we've done it too, you want to attune that crystal to your own field once you get it home. So that was
interesting.
That's the only one that we've
fascinating.
It was it was really interesting, and it had almost like, I liked it, I loved it, and it was just like a generic name that was given to it. It's like blah blah, and I said, well, what's the actual name of it? Oh no, this is just,
no one knew what it was.
Nobody knew what it was.
Wow, how cool.
We're like, so we did, we thought, oh well, we're going to name our very first crystal. That's what we're going to do, because it's this crystal, as just nobody's given it the time of day to even give it a proper name. So the name that we were given, you go and Google it, you won't find it. You won't find it anywhere. So it was just and how would you feel if you were like born into the world and you were just like not given a name? You have no place.
Shipped from here to there.
So we did. We spent all that time, and but it had like an almost like an alien sort of energy to it, and that's the only way way I could describe it, but for good.
Yeah.
But it just had something that we've never felt before from another crystal, and it was.
Yeah.
And then when we actually felt into it, and then we gave it its own description and did a big write up on it. It was just truly a fascinating crystal that actually found its way at this specific amount of this point in time too. It's unlocking your own DNA strands, and it was just a really deep crystal. And yeah, only a few people sort of resonated with it, but the feedback we got from them was just amazing, absolutely amazing.
What a beautiful share! I would love to see. I would love to see this cheeky crystal. But
we kept one for ourselves.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I would love to ask you both if there's people out there that are super intrigued about not only the metaphysical properties of the crystals, but getting just to love them as much as you both do and bring more crystals into their world. What advice would you have for them?
Think on that for a moment. Oh, look, honestly, it's just to go with the flow. The same with anything. And if you are new to crystals, then yeah, go for the ones that you're drawn to. And they always go where they need to go. It's something we say all the time. Like, they just go where they're meant to go, because they know. And I guess, if they end up somewhere and that person ends up changing their mind, they usually just give them to somebody else. Nothing bad ever happens to them.
I got gifted a beautiful rose quartz point, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. And so then they could go, where they're meant to go that way. But I think just go with what you're drawn to start with, and just start out, slowly, and just do some research as well, sort of, because I think that, it always leads to unlocking more information within yourself. There's so much information with every single, company that writes their descriptions and things about the crystals as well. There's always little keys in there too. There's always things that you just resonate with. And when you find something that you really resonate with, then you know that. And so rather than, rejecting that idea when you feel that resonance, just let it go and go, yes, this is what I need.
I embrace you, Crystal. Come with me.
Yeah. And then spend a bit of time, sort of working and exploring. Sleep with that crystal. That's
that's a great trick. I'm totally sleeping with a crystal tonight.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might not necessarily be for instance, I don't know, I was just thinking about septarian, and this was a few years ago now. We were in a crystal shop, walking around having a little look, and I walked past this crystal and I looked at it. I hadn't seen it before. It's like, oh, this is really interesting. I walked around and then I stopped and I kept looking back at it. And then I got to a point where I couldn't move from it. I was just stuck there. I could not leave.
Oh, wow.
I was there, and I said, and it was like a $600 crystal.
Oh, no.
And I looked at Niome and I was like, I can't actually physically move. I can't move. We bought that crystal, and it's the only one that we have of that crystal, but it was that specific crystal. Wow. There's other ones that are like celestite. We've got huge celestite over there. I've got other ones, smaller ones, and I like heaps of those around me. But septarian, we only have the one, and sometimes it's just a specific piece, that you just have to go with it when you're in that position. I've felt that a couple of times in my life. I'm just stuck. I can't move. That you just go with it. But dropping into your heart space and just really feeling into it. You might not necessarily know what the reason is in that moment in time, but it might come. But there are some people that I've found, specifically Mind Body Spirit, actually, that azurite piece. Some people buy because it looks pretty. I reckon they probably might think that it would look great. It would be a showpiece, and they've just bought it for that specific reason. But there's always that underlying. And the energy that I received when they bought that piece was, this is for show. So people can look at it and go, wow. And within myself, I was like, oh, it's blue. It's a throat chakra. Oh, that'll be interesting, because it's going to be working a lot more magic, because your husband will be probably speaking a lot more from his heart and saying how he felt, because he had a very overpowering wife. And I thought, oh, this is really, really interesting. So she purchased that. She wanted that. He bought that. So she's actually given him a gift, I believe.
Yes.
I
love that.
Yeah, so that's what I felt. Oh, I didn't really want it to go to that lady. But then so sort of her husband was like, oh, yeah, this is, and it's
for
just
him.
so blue, wasn't it? It
Oh,
had
it was
so much
amazing.
energy. I'm like,
The most beautiful piece of Azura. Yeah.
this may cause a couple of arguments, maybe,
Yeah,
but in
bring
the
it
end,
on.
they're gonna
Rip
love
that
each
Band-Aid
other.
off.
They're going to love each other. It's going to just, bring it out into a better, more natural flow within their lives,
It's going to go one way or another.
Yeah.
one way or another. And whatever way it goes is the way it's meant to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's a very powerful crystal. So that's just a little story.
Oh, I love the way that you both speak about the crystals. Honestly, I do. I love all that you're doing. Keep shining so brightly in this world. Every time I talk on a podcast, I hold this little baby in my hands. It's a little lapis, and I just roll it around in my hand, and it just helps me to say exactly the right things and everything that I need to say. And I just love crystals. I don't even know the metaphysical properties, but I just love them.
Well, lapis, yes, actually, lapis is one of my favorites too.
I can see some behind you.
Yes,
It's gorgeous.
pieces. It's not known for being a heart stone, but I find it's a heart stone. And I think, because the higher heart chakra ends up being a blue color and, bright, vivid blue.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that, because if I sit lapis on my heart, I can just feel my heart expanding like you wouldn't believe.
Oh,
It's
cool. I'm going to try that too.
beautiful
I'm going to sleep with lapis tonight, just tucked nicely up here
Yes.
in my higher heart. Oh, thank you, Niome and Amy, for your time, your wisdom, your knowledge, and anyone that's listening. All the details to these beautiful ladies will be in any of the blurbs of anywhere this podcast is. Thank you both so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Had
so much fun. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye, ladies.